What happened on the Kwinana Freeway on the evening of January 16, 2026, wasn't just another Bikie stop. It marked a clear escalation in the long-running standoff between police and outlaw motorcycle gangs. 18 patched members of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club were taken down in a single, coordinated operation, with bikes seized and charges laid. This incident offers a rare look at how visible modern Bikie movements have become, how aggressively police are now responding, and how shifting money streams, especially illicit tobacco, are reshaping Perth's underworld. What follows is a detailed breakdown of how the operation unfolded, who was involved, and why this moment matters far beyond one freeway. How the Bandidos operation unfolded. The chain of events kicked off around 5:25 p.m. on Friday, January 16th, when police intelligence and public sightings flagged a large group of patched bandidos gathering at a service station on Safety Bay Road in Bandidos. That location wasn't random. It sits at a key entry point to Perth's southern suburbs and the Peel region, with direct access onto the Kwinana Freeway, perfect for a high-profile group ride. Intelligence sparks immediate police action with tensions already high in Perth's underworld. Wapple's gang crime squad moved quickly. Once the gathering was confirmed, police deployed the air wing almost immediately. The goal wasn't a risky street-level confrontation, but constant overhead surveillance. From the air, police captured clear footage as the convoy entered the freeway, later alleging the riders were moving at speed and riding in a coordinated, reckless manner. Using aerial surveillance allowed police to track the group live, identify individual riders, and build cases without forcing a dangerous ground chase through peak hour traffic. It reflects a clear shift in policing tactics: less pursuit, more containment. The freeway standoff and blocking tactics as the group headed north on the Kwinana Freeway. Marked police vehicles moved in with lights and sirens, formally ordering the riders to stop. Police say the response wasn't chaotic, it was organized. 2 riders allegedly moved into deliberate blocking positions, using their bikes to slow or obstruct police vehicles. This tactic isn't accidental. It's designed to protect senior figures, chapter presidents, or office bearers. By putting lower-ranking members or prospects in the firing line for arrest, the convoy held its formation, spreading across lanes and using quick acceleration to exploit gaps in traffic. Showing a high level of discipline, the turning point came when police made the call to shut down traffic near Miller Road by stopping civilian vehicles and using them as a physical barrier. Officers stripped the Bikies of their biggest advantage: mobility. With nowhere left to go, the entire convoy was forced to stop, ending the operation without a high-speed chase. Who was arrested? Inside the group, the 18 men charged to paint a clear picture of the Bandidos' current footprint in Western Australia. This wasn't a single age group or chapter. It was a mix that shows how deeply the club is embedded across Perth's south. Most of the arrested members live in the southern corridor, particularly Bandidos, Rockingham, and Mandurah. That concentration suggests more than just residential overlap. Points to an established operational base where recruitment, logistics, and day-to-day activities are likely centered. The age range is just as revealing. The youngest charged was 26, the oldest 56. The older members likely trace back to Patchtover, figures from the 2013 Rock Machine merger, while the younger riders represent a newer wave, the so-called Nike Bikies. This blend allows the club to hold on to its traditional hierarchy while staying agile enough to move into fast cash markets like the illicit tobacco trade, now fueling much of Perth's underworld violence. Together, the arrests show a club that's organized, multi-generational, and very much in Police's sights. Charges laid and immediate fallout after the convoy was finally brought to a halt. Police moved quickly to hit the group where it hurt most. All 18 men were charged with reckless driving while attempting to evade police, along with failing to obey a lawful direction to stop. These weren't minor traffic infringements. They were charges designed to shut down the club's movement immediately. 2 riders, aged 41 and 44, now face additional charges of obstructing public officers. Police say those charges relate directly to the blocking tactics used on the freeway moves, allegedly intended to slow police vehicles and shield senior members from being intercepted. Just as significant as the charges was what police took away: high-powered motorcycles, many worth tens of thousands of dollars, were seized on the spot. For police, this isn't just about money. Taking the bikes removes the club's mobility and strips away one of its strongest symbols of power and defiance. Adding another layer to the operation was a white Holden Caprice sedan traveling with the group. The 3 occupants weren't charged, but all were issued dispersal notices. Police believe the car may have been acting as a chase vehicle, providing support, scouting ahead, or staying close in case things went wrong. Who the Bandidos are. How they took root in WA2? Understand why this freeway incident matters? You have to look at the Bandidos' history in Australia. The club was founded in San Leon, Texas, back in 1966. They arrived in Australia in 1983, when former Common Carrow members in Sydney patched over to the international club. Since then, both the FBI and Australian Federal Police have classified the Bandidos as one of the big four outlaw motorcycle gangs groups with global reach, rigid structures, and involvement in serious organized crime. The 2013 Rock Machine patch over Western Australia became a stronghold for the Bandidos in 2013. At the time, the Rock Machine Club was under heavy pressure after years of violent conflict with the rebels. Dating back to 2009, facing internal fractures and external heat, Rock Machine's Perth chapter patched over to the Bandidos. That move instantly gave the Bandidos a hardened, experienced base in WA. It also meant inheriting Rock Machine's enemies, especially the rebels. Long considered Australia's largest and most dominant outlaw motorcycle gang. From that point on, the Bandidos weren't newcomers in WA, they were embedded inside the club's structure. The Bandidos operate under a strict international hierarchy, led by an international president AFN, referred to as El Presidente, with regional vice presidents overseeing local chapters. Western Australian chapters follow the same mother club rules used worldwide. One rule is especially important. Members must own a Harley-Davidson or another American-made motorcycle and sign the title over to the club when they patch in. That means every member has a serious financial stake in their membership. Seen through that lens, the seizure of 18 bikes on the Kwinana Freeway wasn't symbolic. It was a direct hit to the club's shared assets. The laws that made this operation possible. The arrests were carried out under Western Australia's criminal law on lawful consorting and prohibited insignia. Act 2020, one of the toughest anti-bikie laws in the country. These reforms were designed to do one thing: strip outlaw gangs of their ability to intimidate the public through visibility and numbers, banned colors, banned identity under the act. It's illegal to display the insignia of any of 46 declared organizations, including the Bandidos, in public. That ban doesn't stop at jackets or patches. It extends to tattoos. It must be covered when members are in public spaces. The reasoning is simple. Authorities believe that visible bikie branding creates fear and signals control. By criminalizing the brand itself, the state aims to cut off that power at its source. The goals are clear: stop public intimidation in nightlife precincts and shopping areas, disrupt recruitment by dulling the outlaw image that attracts younger members, increase pressure on existing members, making everyday life harder and pushing some to walk away, consorting and dispersal powers. Act also gives police broad powers to break up group activity. Unlawful consorting notices can ban named offenders from associating with each other for up to 3 years. Breaching those orders can carry prison sentences of up to 5 years. Dispersal notices work faster. Police can order individuals to separate for 7 days on the spot. Ignore the order, and arrest follows. In the Kwinana Freeway operation, those dispersal powers were used on the occupants of the white Holden Caprice. Even without bikes or patches, police were able to disrupt the convoy's support network, showing just how flexible and far-reaching the laws have become. The money behind the movement finally. There's the bigger picture. The surge in Bandidos activities, especially in Perth's southern suburbs, can't be separated from what's happening economically in the underworld. While drugs like meth and cocaine remain core business, the real driver right now is illicit tobacco and vaping. It's a market worth an estimated $5 to $10 billion nationwide, and it's fueling a quiet but violent turf war across Australia. The Kwinana Freeway incident wasn't random. It sits at the intersection of power, money, and visibility, and it shows just how aggressively police are now moving to shut outlaw gangs down before that shadow war spills further onto public streets. Operation Snug and the Bandidos connection. What makes the Kwinana Freeway incident even more significant is what happened just hours earlier. On January 15th, the Australian Federal Police carried out a series of search warrants under an investigation known as Operation Snug. The target was an organized crime network tied to large-scale illicit tobacco supply across Western Australia. Those raids zeroed in on individuals linked to the Bandidos and Mandurah various locations that keep surfacing whenever tobacco distribution in WA is discussed. When you place those raids next to what unfolded on the freeway the following evening, the timing is hard to ignore. Police believe the Bandidos' mass movement on January 16th may not have been random at all. Instead, it may have been a deliberate show of force, a message that the club was still standing strong, even after federal authorities moved in. Right now, the illicit tobacco trade is one of the most violent underground economies in the country, with close to 200 arson attacks on retail stores nationwide in just the past 18 months. For a club like the Bandidos, controlling territory in Perth's southern corridor isn't optional. Those routes are critical for moving product and pressuring retailers, both legitimate and illegal, into compliance. Lose that ground and the money dries up. At the top of these tobacco networks sit the kingpins. But they don't do the dirty work themselves. That's handed down to disciplined foot soldiers, men tasked with guarding shipments, enforcing territory, and carrying out high-risk acts like firebombings. The 18 Bikies stopped on the freeway, ranging across 3 decades in age, fit that exact profile: organized, mobile, and ready to move when needed. The rise of the Nike bikie. Public reaction to the freeway shutdown, especially online, revealed something else: a growing awareness of a new type of bikie. On platforms like Reddit, people began talking about what's now commonly called the Nike bikie. This isn't the old stereotype of leather vests, long beards, and heavyweight cruisers. Instead, this new generation blends into everyday suburban life. Designer sportswear, gym-built physiques, high-performance sport bikes. On the surface, they look more like fitness influencers than outlaw bis. Why the look matters? That shift isn't about fashion, strategy. Response from WA police fits a broader approach known internally as harassment within the law. The idea is simple: make daily life as difficult as possible for outlaw motorcycle gangs without stepping outside legal boundaries. That means turning what might once have been treated as traffic offenses, reckless driving, failure to stop, into full-scale operations involving helicopters, freeway shutdowns, and mass arrests. The goal is to make Western Australia an openly hostile environment for organized crime groups. Why visibility matters. Shutting down the Kwinana Freeway wasn't just about stopping the convoy, it was a message. Seeing nearly 20 Bikies handcuffed on the roadside, their motorcycles lifted onto tow trucks, plays a powerful role in public perception. It reassures the community that police aren't just talking tough, they're acting. It also hits the clubs psychologically. No matter how tight their formations are, no matter how practiced their blocking tactics become, the state can still shut down an entire freeway to stop them. There's also an intelligence payoff. Every mass arrest allows police to seize phones, map current associations, and update intelligence files on who's active, who's aligned, and who's moving up the ranks. The limits of crackdown still. Experts like criminologist Terry Goldsworthy caution that high-visibility crackdowns rarely eliminate organized crime entirely. More often, they force it further underground. The core reasons people join these groups: brotherhood, identity, status, and enormous profits from drugs and illicit tobacco, don't disappear with traffic charges. What the Kwinana Freeway incident shows is not the end of outlaw Bikies and WA, but the next phase in a long, ongoing battle where both sides continue to adapt. What the freeway incident really tells us: what happened on the Kwinana Freeway in January 2026 isn't an isolated event. It's a snapshot of where organized crime in Australia stands right now. A long-established international club like the Bandidos testing the limits of tough new laws, while fighting to protect its position in a fast-growing, extremely violent, illicit tobacco market. When you line up the facts, first, there's the clear convergence of pressure from both levels of law enforcement. Federal police moved in on the money, targeting the tobacco supply chain through Operation Snug. Almost immediately after, WA police focused on visibility and movement, shutting down the freeway under Operation Signal. Together, it looks less like coincidence and more like a coordinated squeeze from both sides. Just one day after major raids, 18 patched members still rode together, refused to stop, and allegedly used blocking tactics on one of Perth's busiest roads. That suggests the internal pressure to save face and show strength outweighs the fear of arrests, charges, or losing expensive bikes. Then there's the suburban reality. Places like Bandidos and Williton are no longer quiet buffer zones. They're active front lines. The discovery of hidden clubhouses tucked into commercial and industrial areas shows how deeply these groups are now woven into everyday suburban Perth, operating alongside legitimate businesses rather than from remote compounds. The money driving it all has also changed. The illicit tobacco trade, now worth around $5 billion, is reshaping how gangs operate. Control is no longer just about streets or postcodes. It's about supply routes, storage points, and retail pressure for illegal product being sold illegally, offering huge profits with lower risk than traditional drug trafficking. As for the 18 bandidos charged on the freeway, the road ahead is anything but easy. Reckless driving to escape police carries the real possibility of prison time. The permanent loss of their motorcycles hits both financially and symbolically. The Bandidos have survived mergers, wars, and legislative crackdowns before. Their shift toward the Nike bikie model shows a willingness to adapt rather than retreat. With police doubling down on high-visibility operations, the clash between the state and the one-percenters isn't fading, it's escalating. And if the Kwinana Freeway is any indication, those confrontations are likely to keep playing out in public, disruptive, and increasingly high-stakes ways.